The name's Miles, Daniel Miles, this is a retro dunking Moonraker, the worst thing that Star Wars has done since Jar Jar Binks. Okay, so let's break it down. A space shuttle has been stolen, and whilst attempting to discover who would steal the space shuttle, James Bond uncovers a plan by Hugo Drax to wipe out the human race. Okay, now this film is the fault of Star Wars. Moonraker is actually a film about a mad Nazi convincing the British to let him nuke London. It makes sense in the novel. And whilst this film was going to have to be updated, the original novel was far too dated, Cubby Broccoli went and saw Star Wars and decided the best thing to do with the film Moonraker was to send James Bond into outer space with laser guns, because that's apparently what all the kids were into. Regularly regarded as one of, if not the worst James Bond film, again, there is some stuff to like in Moonraker. There's also a hell of a lot more to dislike, but I will get to that in the end. I want to say first of all that Hugo Drax is an amazing villain. He's cold, he's precise, he's controlled. You know from the first scenes that he is an amazing villain, and he deserves a hell of a lot more than the film he's been placed in. He even gets one of the film's best lines. "Mr. Bond, you appear with the tedious inevitability of an unloved season." How do you beat lines like that? And it also sees the return of Richard Kiel as Jaws, because he was really popular in the last film. And there's also apparently some sort of agency for hiring out supervillain henchmen. I don't know how that works, but I want to work there as a supervillain, obviously. And we're going to skip over the fact that the main female is called Dr. Holly Goodhead. She's a CIA agent, she's a trained shuttle pilot, and she's actually really good in the role. She's not a bimbo, she equally uses Bond as much as he uses her, and indeed it's arguable that she saves the day a lot more than he does. Now Roger Moore is definitely starting to show his age in this one, and it's actually quite a shame because this is actually quite a physical film for him. The film flits between about 4 different continents, not to mention going to bloody outer space, and there's never time for the plot to breathe. It is action scene, travel, action scene, travel, action scene, travel, end. It's never given time to breathe, and this is definitely when the gadgets are starting to take over. Bond, now an absolute pet hate of mine is in films like James Bond when the hero uses a gadget that wasn't explicitly given to him by Q. I understand that the gadgets by Q are just MacGuffins anyway, the plot devices, but I hate it when he uses a device that was not explained by Q. To me, that's just sloppy screenwriting, and Bond uses them several times here. Although this film was nominated for an Oscar for Best Visual Effects, it did lose, which is a good thing, but it's worth noting this film, one of the most hated in the James Bond canon, is an Oscar-nominated film. This film is poor. Yes, Hugo Drax is an amazing villain. Yes, the plot is exactly what James Bond film's plot should be. But the storyline is bad, the characters are poorly named, the acting's bad, the plot just flits around all over the place, and it forgets that Bond is supposed to go beyond the probable, but not beyond the possible. This is a poor Bond film. I'm Daniel, this is Donkey. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.